Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me tonight. I am going to be teaching you how to paint this very easy beginner level impasto acrylic painting of a beach scene. I think it'll be a really fun project, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do it all the way through. I've got my husband Mark with me here.
Hey there, everybody.
On the mic.
On
I almost
the mic.
called you Mike.
Oh, but it's not magic.
No. Definitely not.
What are you implying? Okay.
Excuse me. I got a little bit of clump there thinking about it.
All right, on with the painting.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know what impasto means, it just means thick paint, basically. And we're going to be using a palette knife for this painting. But if you don't have a palette knife, you could adapt it by using a credit card or even a paintbrush. So I'll show you kind of the different options for that. But it should be a lot of fun, I think, and a lot easier than it looks like. So don't be worried that it's too hard, because I really think that you can do this, even if you're a first-time painter, I think. So what? Mark's over there laughing.
I'm listening live and delayed.
Oh,
so.
It is probably a little weird. Okay, so this is my example. I decided to do it on a 12-inch square canvas panel. So we'll have a little bit of this is going to be cut off on this side here, but we'll still get this little heart in. So the first thing I'm going to do is use a piece of chalk and figure out my horizon line and my shoreline. So I think I'm going to have my horizon line at the upper third. So if you kind of split your canvas into thirds, just make a line across. We're going to use tape to make sure that we get a really straight line once we get painting. So just do kind of your best guess there. And then for the shoreline, I am going to do a diagonal line from about this corner up to about the halfway mark. And it's just going to kind of zigzag like this. Oops, can you see that? Let me do it a little bit darker. And it's not going to be exact. I'm going to go ahead and actually bring my sand up well past that, because if you look in our picture here, you can see bits of the sand showing through in places, like especially right in here. And to get that effect, we're going to have to put the sand color a little bit farther up than our shoreline. So we're drawing this out just for reference, but we'll put the shoreline in later, and then we'll also put the little heart in later, or whatever you want to do. You can put your initials in the sand, a word, whatever floats your boat, or leave it blank.
All right, let me know when you're ready for a question.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so somebody has asked if adding a mixing a thickening medium into regular acrylic paint will make it impasto.
Yes, you can use heavy body gel medium. The last week we did the poppies, and I kind of showed how to do that in that video. But yeah, any of those heavy body gels will mix with regular paints and make them thicker, so that you can do this kind of thing. You can do this with thinner paints. It works best with the heavy body acrylics, but you could do this with the medium body acrylic too. You just use a lot of paint on your palette knife and put it on pretty thickly, and it works better, I would say, with the heavy body, because you'll get better. These kind of little textural things will come out a little bit better with the thicker paints. So, but it is doable with thinner paints too. I'm going to also put out some glazing liquid just for this sky and shoreline sections here. But if you don't have this, you could just use water instead. My palette colors are titanium white, unbleached titanium, carbon black, or any black really will do, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow medium, phthalo blue green shade. This is cerulean blue, but it's optional color, and ultramarine blue. Cerulean is kind of basically these two colors put together plus some white. It's kind of a little bit more on the green side, but it's sort of a basic blue. You can see that it's a little bit lighter in hue. So we're just going to use it. I like to use it for my seascapes, but don't feel like you have to run out and buy it if you don't have it. Just add some white to your paint and you'll be good to go. All right, so let's start with the sky. I'm going to do the sky first, and then as that dries, we'll do the shoreline and then tape it off, and hopefully Mark won't have to use the hairdryer tonight. Although he does like to use the hairdryer, so he might be sad about that. I don't know.
I was going to say hopefully, huh? Man.
Okay, going to grab Ultramarine Blue and some white. Those are going to be our sky colors. And I'm going to go a little bit darker at the top of my canvas here. I'm going to grab a little bit of this blend glazing medium just to make my paint blend a little bit easier on the canvas. It'll make it a little bit more smooth going on. You could also spray down your canvas a little bit if you wanted to, but we've got such a small area here, I don't think we'll need it. And I'm just going to, as I get down towards the horizon line, I'm going to pick up more white paint and blend it up into the areas going horizontally with a large flat brush. This is going to kind of create the effect of clouds without even having to paint in specific clouds, just by doing these horizontal sweeping lines. And then I can go back in with a little bit more of my white and add a few streaks of white. We will be going back in with our palette knife and adding some very bright kind of palette, thicker paint off the palette knife into the clouds too, but so you can kind of see that it's pretty light back there. So you don't have to go super white with your clouds.
Okay, somebody's asked if yellow oxide is the same as yellow ochre.
Yes, it's basically the same color. They're a little bit different, but they come from the same family, and they're interchangeable. So yeah. Oxide, yellow oxide is the newer version. Yellow ochre is the mineral, or I can't remember what it's called. I think it's a mineral, but it was actually made from yellow oxide. So they're very related. But the yellow oxide is a kind of synthetic yellow ochre, if that makes sense, which was yellow oxide. I don't know. It's confusing, but they're the same. I've tried to understand it.
I'm with you. I'm following you.
Okay, all right. You're calling it okay.
Yeah.
All
if
right.
I can understand, I think they can understand.
Okay, good.
I hope.
I'm just putting a little bit more white along that horizon line and want it to be nice and light right there where it's going to hit the water. That'll give us good contrast and give us the illusion of distance in our horizon line. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and clean my brush out. And we'll do the sand. And it'll probably turn a little bit blue because I've got my line here in blue chalk, but that's all right. This color is a Liquitex color called Unbleached Titanium. It is my favorite off-white. I use it in almost every single one of my paintings. So if you're going to be painting along with me, it might just save you some hassles to go ahead and buy it, I would say. I have it in a very big jar, or tube. But you can mix this, though, with white and some yellow oxide and maybe a dash of a brown, like burnt umber or raw umber, just to tone it down. So you don't have to buy it, but if you are going to mix it, I would just go ahead and mix up a bunch of it and put it in a jar to save, because we'll be using it in a lot of our videos. So here you see I went over my line there, but I can kind of still see it through, which will be maybe a little bit helpful when I get to doing my water, because I'll be able to see where that went to. And I'm putting it on nice and thick. I want a good thick coat of this. This will be our basic sand color. We're not really going to do a whole lot to it, except for maybe splatter it a little bit with some colors, but with some sand, you know, kind of texture. But this is going to be our undercolor. Okay, so let's grab some, let me clean that out. I'm going to start working up towards my horizon line with, I'm going to make a teal color with phthalo blue, mostly phthalo blue and white, and a tiny touch of this cad yellow to make it more green. So that's our color, and I'm going to add a bunch more white to it. And we're going to just kind of brush it in next to our sand color. I'm not going to go over it if possible, because I don't want to cover this up. But we do want some color under here. Just kind of blending them together a little bit. That unbleached titanium is still wet.
Okay, we got a first-time live video watcher.
Yes.
And a new painter.
Nice.
And they want to know, what would you recommend as their basic first colors they should buy?
Basic first colors are, I would get 2 blues and 2 reds. So I would get Ultramarine Blue and Phthalo Blue, green shade, and then white, black, and yellow oxide is a color that is used quite a bit. I've got a darker version of the same color here. Cadmium yellow, medium, or a yellow medium of some sort. Quinacridone magenta and cadmium red medium will be 2 good reds that'll give you a variety. You can mix the quinacridone with ultramarine blue to get purple, so you won't need to buy purple. You can mix your cad red with yellow to make orange, so you won't need to buy orange. If you want a more vibrant orange, you can buy cadmium red light as well. Let me think. Have I gone over all of them? Oh, and then greens you can mix from the blue, both of the blues and the yellow. So yeah, that'd be it, I think. And burnt sienna for sure. Burnt sienna is another color that you really need, because it makes browns and all kinds of different shades and things. So, all right, so I've got to about halfway up my canvas here with the phthalo blue teal mixture with the white. And I'm going to, let me see, that's still too wet. I may just go ahead and have you dry this, honey. I don't know.
Oh, darn it.
I'm getting pretty high on my canvas here. I'm going to grab some Cerulean Blue, start adding that in. And I need some glazing medium because it's starting to get sticky. And if you notice, I'm putting these on horizontally. Again, all of this horizontal action will help us with the illusion of depth. Yeah, go ahead and dry that for me, hun. I need that horizon line straight. That's Mark's favorite thing, he's my professional hairdryer. Not favorite thing, but it's his only job, really. besides the.
So where am I drying? Up here, the top.
Yeah, the top section. The sky. Yeah. Okay. So if you're first time to my channel, be sure after the show to please subscribe if you enjoyed it, and if you click on my picture or my name, it'll take you to my channel, and I have all kinds of different paintings for beginners of all different levels. Here, I'll pull out my sketchbook here. You can see some of the things. So we did roosters last Saturday. The week before that, we did our poppies. Then we did the hot air balloons, the couples in the galaxy, the galaxy behind it. So we do videos twice a week, and the schedule is up in the title bar on my channel page. So you can see what times our shows are, and all of the new live shows are usually posted by Monday of the week, unless I'm really on it like I was this week, and I have 3 posted. So I was very organized this week. I was very proud of myself.
I'll be filing workman's comp.
Oh, did you get paint on your hand?
Yeah, I got paint on my hand,
Oh,
so yeah.
poor
I'll
honey.
submit the claim later after the show.
Okay, so, oh Lordy, and you can tell we don't take ourselves too seriously. We enjoy painting, but I feel like it can be, especially in the art world, there's a lot of people that take themselves very, very seriously. It's a serious thing, but I think learning to paint should be fun, and I've tried to take all of the angst and mystery out of it and just make it a fun, easy process for you to be able to enjoy and learn and be able to come out with some paintings that are really well done. So, all right, so I just went with my tape all the way across, and you can see that I went over my sky portion and try to make sure that it's perfectly straight there, and press down nice and hard right along that line. And I'm going to start again with the ultramarine blue in the farthest areas. So we've got the sky ultramarine blue, and then our horizon line is going to be also ultramarine blue, but we're going to add just a little bit of the burnt sienna. And what that'll do is tone it down. The farther away you get, the less saturated your color will be, and the more purplish. So that's why I'm using this purpley blue color. The ultramarine is more on the purple side than the phthalo blue green shade. So now I'm adding just a little bit of white to it to get kind of a gray blue color, maybe a tiny bit more burnt sienna there. And we're going to go right along that horizon line with this color. That might be a little bit dark, so we can go back over it with some lighter color. Grab a little bit more white, lighten up a little bit.
Somebody's asked if when you paint in your book there, do you gesso the pages first?
No.
Okay.
No, but it's a mixed media book, so it's meant for paint. I wouldn't do it if you're using a sketchbook or drawing, paper. You wouldn't be able to paint on it like I do with that, but it's made for paint, so it does fine. But if you're wanting to do it on a regular paper, then yes, I would gesso it.
And I noticed that, you don't put anything in between the pages once they're done. When you paint, do you do anything special so they don't stick to each other or anything like that?
You can't, I don't paint 2 sides facing each other because they will stick to each other. So I leave the back sides are always left blank, so that it's blank paper touching the paint.
Ooh, then I can go draw a stick man on the backs of those.
You could draw stick mans on the back of all of them.
Be like when the kids used to go in and draw something on like every other page of a notebook. And you go, what just happened?
Oh, goodness. I'm grabbing cerulean blue, and I'm going to add that in here. I need to grab a little bit of water to moisten my brush. Somebody was asking why I don't use a lot of water, and really with heavy body acrylics, you don't need a lot of water, especially for the kind of blending that I like to do, which is, this wet on wet technique with your paints. You need your paints to stay thick so that they don't dry quickly. The more water you add, the thinner they'll be and the faster they will dry. So I keep them fairly thick and don't add water unless I absolutely have to. And if I want to extend the drying time even more, I'll add a little bit of glazing medium, but it can make your paint transparent, so you don't want to add too much of it. Okay, so that's good. Let's add a little bit of yellow now to this color, the Cerulean Blue. We'll make a green, add some white. Maybe a little bit more. We'll add a little bit of white or yellow, green streaks to it. That's probably way too greeny. Let's get a little bit more phthalo blue in that. Tone that down a little bit.
Got some seaweed in there, huh?
Yeah.
Algae or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Plankton.
Exactly. I'm going to spray my paints here. Get them moist. Every now and then I just spray my palette a little bit to keep it moist. I'm going fairly dark with this because I'm going to add lighter colors on top. So my initial coat is going to be a little bit darker than we'll end up with. So I'm just adding streaks of this kind of a teal color here and there, and keeping my brush strokes horizontal still. Okay, let's make some more of that light teal color over here. Grab my white and phthalo blue, a little bit of yellow. There's that bright teal. And then let's grab the darker teal, and we're going to figure out where we want the large wave to go. And I think it's going to go right in this section here. So I'm going to darken up this section, kind of going a little bit at an angle, but not too much. We're going to keep it fairly straight. Well, it is kind of at an angle. It's sort of mimicking the shoreline a little bit. And let's go ahead and do some dark over here too. I'll grab some really dark phthalo. A little bit of yellow. You almost never are going to use your colors straight. So if you notice with the Ultramarine Blue, I added white to tone it down, or I added the burnt sienna to it. The Phthalo Blue is the same way. These colors are super concentrated, and you don't really need or want to use them full strength, or they will overwhelm your paintings. So, okay, I'm adding these shadow lines because these waves are going to have these shadows. If you look at this, there's these dark shadows that are right up underneath the waves. So we're going to put those in, and then we'll put the white color on top, and we'll be able to see a little bit of that darkness underneath. So that's what I'm doing now. And I need to add some more of this kind of medium color down in here because I got pretty light. Let me grab a little bit more white. There we go. We'll add some a little bit more of that color, a little bit of dark here and there. A lot of this is going to be covered up with white and lighter blues, so, but I do want to have, okay, so you see I've got this really light section here that kind of just lightly tinted the sand, and then the sand section with the white's going to be right here. Let's see, I think I want to darken up this just slightly. Because we are going to have to add adding a little bit more yellow to it and mixing grabbing my white. There we go. So really it's just a matter of mixing some different shades of blue, different varying amounts of white and yellow and blue in different, but the lighter colors are going to be closer to the shoreline and the more teal colors. So the more kind of green blues are going to be closer to the shoreline here, and the deeper blues and the more purpley blue is going to be up towards the horizon line. Okay, there we go. So I'm getting some of these blues in here. Grab some of the sand color and just blend that along there to soften that edge, because I don't want it such a hard edge, because that'll show through our waves. Just adding the sand color in there to lightly soften that edge up. And don't go too far down with it, because I don't want it to cover our shoreline. There we go. Okay, so I mean that looks pretty just as it is, right? We could use our brush and add some white to it. At this point, I would use probably a brush like the Deerfoot Stippler if you're not going to be using a palette knife, and just stipple in your shoreline in the places that I'm going to be doing with the palette knife. So if you wanted to use a brush, you could totally do it with that. Let's go ahead and put some detail down in our sand before we put our waves in, so that'll be underneath. I'm going to grab a toothbrush for this. You could use a fan brush. Don't use your current toothbrush, though. I wouldn't recommend that. Grabbing the yellow oxide here. And I'm going to add a little bit burnt sienna just to darken it up just slightly. And I've added quite a bit of white, if you notice. Or water, I'm sorry. Not white. Sorry, it's been a long day. And I'm going to, don't want to get it way up there. I'm going to kind of just cover this with my hand, or I can hold up a towel just so that it's not going to get up in my water. And I'm going to hold it in my fist with the bristles towards my thumb, use my thumb and point it down at my canvas and splatter some little sand bits. I don't know if you can see that, but it does these little dots. It's kind of subtle. We want to keep our sand pretty light. The photograph that I was using was a kind of white sand beach, so it was really pretty. And you could even go lighter with the sand than I did here if you wanted to keep that white sand look. So let's go ahead and grab some white while we're talking about that. We'll do some white speckles in the sand. I cleaned out the brush here. Oops, don't want to do that. You may want to touch it on your paper towel just to make sure you don't get big, huge splatters like that. Okay, pretty. And we'll do some brown splatters when we do the heart, but I'm going to leave that for now. Let's pull the tape off here and see what we did on our horizon line. Pretty good. Now we got a perfectly straight horizon. All right, so that's basically our prep for the painting, and now we're going to grab the palette knife. So the rest of it's pretty much going to be done mostly with the palette knife. We'll have a little bit of details put back in with the brush, but not much. All right, so I'm going to get some more white because I ran out here. And I need to find a clean spot over here. It's kind of not easy to find. I may actually have to use a separate plate, but we'll see. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is grab some white and I'm going to mix it in to some of these blues that I've got going on. I'm just going to grab some of these blues. You're going to press flat once you mix it. I'm not fully mixing, so there's kind of swirls and different things going on. And then I'm going to scoop it up on the side that I'm working with. And that'll give me a little bit more control over how much paint is on my palette knife. Okay, and I'm going to start laying it in and dragging it in this area here between this wave and the shoreline. And I want some of this lighter white foam. Once most of it's off my brush, then or my palette knife, then I can kind of scrub it in and maybe go in a circle. And you see how it picked up more of that paint in that thicker area, and it's gonna catch on all this texture of the canvas. That's what we want. So don't put on too much at first because you don't want it to be like a solid line. So just a little bit on my palette knife there, just on kind of the bottom side. And I'm going to very lightly touch it at first and drag it down along that shoreline area. And this will give us this kind of foam area over the top of the light sand. So we're not wanting to cover up all the sand there. Let me see if I can set this aside so you can see it while I'm working. Probably could have done a picture-in-picture if I'd been organized today. Move that over. There we go. Okay, so I'm also going to have a horizontal aspect to what I'm doing here. I'm not going to turn my palette knife too much at an angle. It might be at a little bit of an angle, but for the most part it's going to stay horizontal, and my lines that I'm putting in are going to stay horizontal, and that again will help our illusion of depth. So if you look at a photograph, you have a lot of planes. Let me see, here's my photograph that I was using for reference. You see all these different planes of lines, and they're all either slightly diagonal or horizontal. And that's what happens when you're looking at water. It's just what. So those are my three kind of reference photos. This one's especially horizontal, but I'm kind of doing a combination of all of these together. So I sort of made a mismatch of all of the parts of those paintings that are those photographs that I liked. Okay, so add a little bit more here and grab a little bit more white. Mix that in again.
Somebody has asked, would a sponge be okay for creating the foam if they don't have a Deerfoot stippler?
Yeah, I think
or
so.
A knife?
Yeah, you could get that same kind of effect, I think.
That'd be kind of ironic, a sea sponge painting a sea scene.
No, but I think it would work though. Yeah. Okay, so very little paint, just barely touching it down and catching that texture. Right, so already it looks like a shoreline. Isn't that cool? Don't really have to do much here. It's sort of magic. I don't know how it works, but it's pretty cool. I had so much fun using the palette knife on the poppies last week. I had to do it again this week. So you guys may have a few more palette knife paintings in your future. So. And they do have sets that are very, very cheap. So you can get a set of plastic palette knives that would work just fine for this, for a couple dollars usually. So you can look for that if you don't want to have to invest in The more professional ones are a little bit more expensive. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit of this darker blue now, and I'm going to go up here in this area and add some of the darker blue. I had some of that lighter color on my brush still. And I'm going to go all the way up to that wave there. Let's grab some of this dark. So I'm just scraping up the paint that we used for the waves previously and adding some of that in and doing these horizontal, like grabbing a little bit of white, lighten it up slightly. We'll do, this will be the top of our wave here, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that out a little bit. And there will be a little bit of this color in here, so I'll go ahead and put a little bit of it in that wave area. Then there's another one that's up in here.
Okay, so we have a question asking, can you use zinc white with the unbleached to help whiten out the sand? I guess, some people have more white sand beaches.
Zinc white is a transparent white, so if you're going to go with a white, I would just use regular titanium white if you're trying to lighten up your sand. Probably, yeah. That's
okay. And then somebody asked whenever you get the chance to show a deer foot stippler.
Yeah, it's this brush right here. I think it's called deer foot because it's angled like a deer foot, like a antler deer, Not like you, mister.
Oh, okay. I was gonna put my foot up there for comparison, but my
and
toenails aren't looking well.
It's round. So you, if you were doing this painting with this, I'll just do a little bit of a wave. You would tap in just at the tip of the brush, like that. Just a little bit of paint, and then you tap it on to your areas, and you can kind of scrub to side and everything, and you can get the same kind of textured effects. It'll look a little bit different though, because this is a little bit more controlled than this. This is much more random, which I like the unpredictability. Some people don't, because they want to be able to control exactly where the paint's going. And if that's your deal, then I would probably do it with a deer foot, because you will get a little bit more control over it. So, if you tried the poppies and they drove you crazy and you didn't like that, you didn't know where the paint was going to end up, then by all means do it with a paintbrush. Okay, so I've got a little bit lighter, and I'm going to kind of set in a few horizontal waves. The waves will get smaller as they go towards the horizon line. So if you notice on my example, by the time I get up here really far away, these are just straight lines of paint, very little thickness to them. And then as they get down, they're a little bit thicker here, a little bit thicker here, and then a lot thicker closer up. All right, so that will also be sure to keep that in mind when you're putting in your lines of paint. I don't want to go in with a flat brush here like I did down here, because we'll end up with a very, very thick line that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in our horizon. I'm going to mix up a little bit of the sort of ultramarine blue and white color with what I've got going on here. So I'll get a little bit of that ultramarine blue color going on. And I'm going to set my brush down, or my palette knife down. Let's see if I can get it along that edge. And just set it down. There we go. Drag a little bit. Just a few lines.
Somebody asked, what could they add to the sand to give it some texture? Would like glass beads or some?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, glass beads would be really neat. You could add a stucco. Okay, so see, I've got a little bit thicker here. Kept it very small up there. All right, let's put, I feel like it needs something right here, but I think I'm going to do that with white. I think I'm going to really get a nice bright one right in there, and then this will be our big one. All right, so I think we've got enough of the other colors going on now. I might put a little bit of the blue just along here. And if I didn't get enough in the shoreline here, I can always add a little bit after I put my white in, but I'm trying to kind of lay the foundation so I don't have to go back in and do too much later. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so let me clean this off. And if you've got stuck-on paint on your palette knife, like if you have been painting for a while and it is all dried up on there and won't come off, you can, I keep a little bit of rubbing alcohol in a really bad bottle here. I think it was an old hairspray bottle that I cleaned out. It's like so ugly, but hey, it works. And I labeled it so I wouldn't think it was water and spray it on something. But anyhow, if you spray it on there and just let it sit for a couple seconds, it'll wipe right off. So, little trick. I'm putting on the series glasses now. So I can really see what I'm doing. I can only kind of see what I'm doing, and the other ones, this ones are like my super high powered glasses. Here we go. Now everything's in high def. Okay, gonna grab my white here, and miraculously it stayed fairly white. You laughing at me?
No, somebody misunderstood in chat, and they were asking glass bees.
No.
So no, not glass bees.
Bees.
Beads with a D.
Yeah, beads. Okay, so I'm going to tap through my white paint there and get it on the back of my brush. Scoop, or brush, I keep calling it brush, palette knife here. Scoop a little bit of it on there. Got a fairly good amount. And I'm going to go ahead and do this wave here. I'm going to start at the top of it and tap a little bit. So the top has some ocean spray. And then it kind of comes down at an angle. Give a little bit more. Kind of comes down and splashes down here. So we're kind of going in this direction with it. I do need some of this lighter blue color in there, so I'm going to add a little bit of that too. Just to kind of soften it up. Oh, it picked up the, didn't want that color in there. It picked up that. Okay, let me grab some more of the white. Right down here, I'm going to tap in some of that spray. This is just kind of unpredictable, so you don't know where it's going to come out thick. Like I really didn't expect that to come out that thick, but I like it. It works. Because I was going in the right direction, it'll fit. We don't have to worry about it. So as long as you're kind of keeping your brush sort of in the right orientation, you'll get some interesting, maybe unexpected results, but they should work for you. So I don't want it to be like a solid thick line all the way here. I'm kind of narrowing it, tapering it as it goes, and kind of leaving some spaces in between for the eye to fill in the gaps. Let's put in a nice big one right in here. Or I say big, but kind of medium-ish size one. There. Maybe another something going on back here. Right. And scrape through that and kind of give it that rolling effect a little bit. Okay, pretty good. Let's put some more bright spray up here. Just kind of wiggling my brush as I'm kind of bringing it across horizontally. So just gonna drop a little bit more paint in certain areas than others. If you get too much of a straight line there, you can kind of go back in with the tip of it and work it out, soften that up. I hope this is coming across on camera, but it's really pretty in person. I love how this works. It's like, really is almost like magic. Okay, let's get some more up here. We're rolling in those waves. Now, I don't want to go too far up with the white, because it will fade as it gets farther away. So we'll leave these colored ones in the distance. Let's put some waves in here. Need a little bit more. We're almost done. It's pretty fast. I think we should be done in an hour, hopefully. Maybe we got 10 minutes, or let's see how we can do it. I've been kind of going slow. Let's do the clouds. So for the clouds, I don't want too much paint on my brush, so I'm gonna, or my palette knife, so I'm just gonna tap in and kind of scrape it off to the side here. Pick up just a little bit on there. And find my main cloud areas, just kind of wiggle back and forth as I sort of barely touch it down. Clouds generally will be a little fluffier on top and a little bit straighter on the bottom. That's sort of the, I don't know, maybe it's because we're seeing them from below. We're seeing the straight line below them. I don't know, but that's sort of generally how it works. So that'll help you get a little bit more realistic clouds. The closer to the horizon line, the smaller they'll be. So we'll do some small straight line ones really low, just by kind of scraping a little bit down there. And then we'll put another big one over here.
Okay, what did you use for your thickening agent?
I'm not using anything. I'm just using the heavy body acrylic straight.
Okay.
But if you had thin paints, you could use the gel medium, heavy gel medium. There we go. You can do as many as little as you want. I don't think it really needs a whole lot, but it's kind of fun. So try not to get it too solid. That one got kind of solid, so I'm gonna sort of try to work it out a little bit along the sides there. Okay, yeah, so clouds, boom. Let's grab some more of this white. We'll do the shoreline here. I'm gonna keep it, I think I'm gonna actually turn it around so that I have a little bit more control over where this is going. And I want to make sure that I'm using the tip of my brush to create these flat lines. See how I'm going to create these kind of lines this way? So I just stuck my thumb in something. I don't know what I picked up, but oh, right here. I just took off half my wave. Just tap that back in. Nobody will notice.
We'll just edit that out.
Right.
so
Yeah,
they don't see
magic
it.
editing. Okay, so I'm gonna tap in some horizontal foam. Just kind of layer upon layer. Very, very lightly. Not a whole lot of paint on my brush, or my palette knife. I keep calling it a brush, sorry. Keep it horizontal so we don't get any weird angles in there. Now I'm going to go over all of this kind of seafoam area here and add some of the white all the way up. Can add more white. It's going to be pretty bright along that shoreline. That'll be some of our brightest area. So be sure you get it nice and bright right in there. Okay, let me turn it around and see what it looks like. Ooh, pretty. Very good. All right, I need more white. Keeps running out. I'm gonna use a lot of white for this. So this white would be a color if you wanted to add, you could add your heavy body gel 50-50 with your white, and it would just extend the white paint longer. So you'd have more of it without having to put some in here. Tap. It just extends, the amount of paint you're using. So I'm going to add another line of wave going along here, trying to kind of connect some of these shapes just a little bit with the tip of my palette knife. Maybe there's another line of waves kind of coming in off of that one there.
What white are you using right
Titanium white.
now? Titanium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, titanium white. Okay. All right, I think that's good. I don't want to overdo it with the white. I'm going to put a little bit kind of just scrubbed in between my waves there. Maybe a little tiny bit up here. Oops. And yeah, now I want to, I'm going to kind of firm up some of these shapes here. I'm going to go in and add a shadow underneath my waves right along this shoreline here. So we'll make clean that off. I'm going to use my number 4 round. Any small round brush will work. And I need to spray my palette here. I'm going to make a brown. You could use burnt umber. I just happened to have the burnt sienna that we were going to be using for the ocean, so I just decided to add black to it to make a burnt umber color. But if you have burnt umber, just use that. It'll be fine. Yellow oxide and some of the sand color over here. Clean out my brush. I'm not going to need a whole lot of it. Just a little bit of this sort of a medium brown color. We'll see if that might be too light, might be too dark. We'll see when we get it on there. And I'm just going to lightly touch it in along that bottom edge of my white. Try not to touch the wet paint if I can. It's okay if it gets a little bit on it, but I don't want it to blend with it too much. So you could let the white dry, ideally, before you did this. But just for time reasons, we're just going to go ahead and go for it here and try to get our shadow in like that. Now all of a sudden it kind of has that three-dimensional look. Let's do the same thing with a little bit of blue, and this will push back our waves. So we'll add a little bit of yellow to our phthalo blue, grab our white, keep it fairly dark. It's that dark teal color. And go ahead and clean that out. Wipe off my brush there. And grab a little bit of this on the tip of my brush. And we'll go in and add it underneath our thick. Right here I need a really dark shadow, so I'm going to get a little bit of the darker color. Pop in a few really dark shadows along that big wave there. Maybe even a few inside. Then along here, we're going to get a few of these ones. Are going to also pick your biggest areas and just kind of add a little bit. It doesn't have to be under all of them, but there would be a little bit of a shadow under most of these that are the really big waves. It just helps push it back. I hope that they can see this in the camera. I know I'm kind of far away tonight. I haven't zoomed in much at all. Any? So we'll put a little bit of this dark blue. Don't go too crazy with it, but you just want a little indication of just tapping a little color here and there to help add a shadow, some depth to our waves. Okay. All right. So for the heart in the sand, I'm going to use this lighter brown color that I mixed for the shadow, and I'm just going to tap in kind of I think I'm going to put it sort of at an angle here. So I'm going to just tap it in like this, leave a little bit of space, make it pretty sketchy almost. Don't want to go too obvious with it. You could do two hearts or whatever you wanted to, and grab some of the yellow or some of the white and do a highlight around it. Tap in some highlight along the side and over it here and there. The sand kind of catches the light in odd ways. Pick up a little bit more of the really dark. Go back in, tap in a little bit of the little bit darker. It's just kind of a subtle outline, not too obvious. I'm going to let that dry, and I might go back over it with a little bit of other colors, but I'm going to go ahead and use this brown with my toothbrush and splatter in some of these darker, and I'm going to cover my shoreline a little bit. So it's got a little bit of that darker sand splattered. And let's also splatter some white, So we'll get some sea spray. You're over there sighing. I haven't heard from you very much tonight, hon. You doing okay?
Yes. People are wanting me to dance for more thumbs up.
Not tonight. I don't have any makeup on. I'm not going to be on camera. Didn't do my hair. I'm nearly in pajamas. I did put clothes on, but it was a close thing. So, I'm gonna spray mostly around that lower area there. I don't want to get it too high because you wouldn't really see it that high up. So, just did a little bit of sea spray around that wave. I think I want get a little bit more white. Actually, I want some green. I feel like we're missing that kind of green look that you get sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some yellow and make a light green color. Let's put a little bit of that in our wave. So it gives it a little translucency maybe. I feel like we're maybe seeing a little bit of the sunlight popping through it. Maybe a little bit back here too, just to kind of unify it. Okay, so now this is just kind of finishing touches, whatever. Yeah. My picture's got a little bit of shadow inside too, so I'm going to add a little bit of darker, this kind of tealish color. I don't want to go over all of my wave here, so just kind of be selective with it, but I want to add a little bit of extra dimension in that wave down there. Some shadows along the base, and then I'll grab just a little bit more white and add just a little bit more of the white highlight right on top to push it back. And then I think we're just about done. So that was an hour and 5 minutes, not too bad. I'm going to add a little bit more here and there too. Okay, right here, we want it really bright. Let's tap in. Right along that bottom edge.
Okay, so we have some requests.
Okay.
You've made it look too easy.
Okay.
So your next painting, could you like really struggle and have a hard time with it?
Have a hard time.
Yeah.
Is that
No.
who
Okay.
who did that come from?
Well, I kind of ad-libbed that
Ad-libbing?
last part there. Yeah, everybody, several people commented on how easy you make it look.
Well, I mean, I do think I think this one definitely is easy. I would totally do this with my kids' class if I was, still teaching them. This would definitely be something that I think that they could tackle, and I think that it takes a little bit of finessing for sure, but I definitely think that this is doable, for a new painter to get good results. If you keep in mind some of the things that I told them, keep your palette knife horizontal. Even if you're trying to get to a certain area, to resist the temptation of going in like this, because then you could end up with a straight line this way. So even when I'm working on this thing and I'm trying to get to a certain area, I'm not going to turn my palette knife in this direction. That, I think, that would be the main mistake that people would make that would cause it to go south on them, you know, is keep your palette knife in the right direction. You pretty much can control what it's doing for the most part. And then it's just a matter of kind of adjusting. If you get too much paint in an area, go back in. On my example one, I covered too much of my sand up. So I went back in with the sand color, and I just tapped in some of the sand color back over, and then went back over it again with some of the white to tone it down. So I don't think anything is, you know, unredeemable, especially with acrylics, because you can cover and do multiple layers. Let me grab some cerulean here, and I'm seeing a couple areas up here that I think I want to just add some deeper shadow areas. Why not, right? We've got the paint on our palette here. Let's add some cerulean up here. Just a few of these darker shadows. There we go. Adds even more depth. All these different layers will really help too, you know. You just go step by step the way I did and kind of do the same colors and the same steps. I think that you can have success with this. I definitely think, yeah, okay. I think we're about done. What do you think, honey? Look okay?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks all right.
All right, let me put in a little. I want this to come up this way. What do you need? I have a feeling that we're talking about Stickman now. Do we need Stickman?
I'm
Since you need something?
I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one?
I've
Okay.
told everybody to calm down. That the warm up band is about done. The star of the show is coming out.
Okay. Stickman, for those who are new to the show, is our official mascot.
We
I
have
guess.
somebody who's joining us from Vienna, Austria.
Ooh,
When we have our Australian folks and Greece
awesome.
and from all over the world. So
wow.
yes,
That's amazing. I love YouTube. Internet. What did we ever do? I would never have known any of them. You guys that are, you know, watching. And this has only been in the last 10 years or so.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a few
amazing.
years, really.
Yeah,
YouTube was blown up.
exactly. It's pretty cool. All right, let's put a little shoreline like lapping. He's at the ocean here with his mermaid bikini and high heels.
Like any normal stick man would
Exactly.
be. And his rooster.
And his what?
Rooster.
Rooster. Exactly. And his rooster visiting the beach.
Another day at the beach.
Okay, there we go. He got a little sand in.
He's
Get
dressed
some
to
water.
impress the ladies.
Like, hey, ladies, I got a coffee mug with some flowers in
That's
it.
right.
And some birds.
Birds
in
and
my
my antlers.
and my antlers. We add something related to whatever we're painting that day. So obviously we've done roosters last week and hot air balloons and whatever else. So this is almost a map of what we've done this year so far.
Yeah, and that's how serious we take ourselves. So
Exactly. Gotta have fun.
that's right.
Painting's fun. We get to play with paints. I mean, come on. This is a pretty good job. I enjoy it. So I really appreciate you guys who stop by and watch. I appreciate those of you who have been joining me on Patreon. We just started it last week this time, and we've already up to almost 100 people supporting us, which is amazing. Totally unexpected. I had no idea when we started it last week what we would, that so many people would be jumping to support us. It's been really amazing. And really heartwarming, feel very loved. So if you're interested in getting information about Patreon and the extra goodies that we're going to be giving out, we're going to be doing bonus videos and challenges. We're learning how to draw hands in the Patreon group right now on Facebook. So if you want to join that, you can click the link in the iCards, the little eye in the corner of the video, or down in the description. There's a link to my Patreon page. And we really appreciate you. And I've got a couple of patrons who I'm going to post up here at the end who are big donators, and I just want to say thank you guys, and we will see you on Saturday. We are going to be doing water drops. I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately, but if you go to my channel, you can see what we're going to be doing. Just concentric circles with the big, large water drop. Very simple, iconic sort of, I don't know. I liked it. I haven't painted it yet, so I don't know how hard it'll be, but I don't expect it to be super hard. It's only like going to be a couple colors, but you could adapt the colors to whatever you wanted. I think it'll be really cool. So hope you join us for that on Saturday, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.